Doom v Vamos Vivamos Epicureans. This is the Marvel Epic Collection Podcast, one-shot edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm joined by...
Stojr from Stojr Shop. How's it going, Nick?
Doing well, particularly since we're participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot will be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is Uncanny X Men number 121, Shootout at the Stampede. Alright, we get an awesome brawl this time between Alpha Flight and the X-Men with our first real look at the Canadian group and their powers. Things come to a head as Shaman's artificial blizzard gets out of control, but Storm manages to wrangle it in. Ultimately, Wolverine surrenders in order to maintain the peace, and the X-Men are escorted out of Canada. But of course, they discover that Wolverine managed to sneak back aboard their jet, and so Wolverine escapes with them. Alright, Stojr, what are your thoughts?
I think this is a great showcasing of superhero battle, seeing all of Alpha Flight's powers, seeing them kind of take on the X-Men one at a time, show how strong they are. I think if I saw this, read this issue, I'd be interested in an Alpha Flight comic and what's the deal there, and I think that was the whole point. Beyond that, the plot here is just fairly simple. They're just trying to, I guess, just bring Wolverine back in because he's a deserter or he left them or something. It's not fully it doesn't feel strong enough of why do they actually care other than just he left and they want him back? Why is Canada's rules around this so strict? I guess
they invested a lot of money into Weapon X, and so they want return on that investment, which you would think was more of an American thing than a Canadian thing, but
and when you find out later about how that investment happened and what it actually was, it's a lot more underhanded. I've said this before, but I think this issue showcases it a couple times. I love the way Byrne draws Storm's costume and how it flows out and makes her look like wings and wider than she is. I think it's got a great look to it. This classic costume is probably my favorite Storm costume. And watching them fight Colossus and Sasquatch is great. The sort of cameo by Byrne is great. It feels like these cameos are getting more intricate, right? Where they're actually talking to each other on panel as opposed to just kind of little you're picking up some words in the background. It's like the camera's purposely turned to them in here. I felt like the resolution of this issue, though, the last couple pages, just kind of feel a little snap your fingers and it's over. It feels a little silly. It's all right, I'm gonna give myself up. Not really. How'd you get out? I'm Wolverine. It's how I do things.
Yeah.
And it's just we just move on. It felt like the ending of a sitcom or something like that, where some weird thing happens and then all of a sudden roll credits and you get the audience clapping. But the issue's fine. It serves its purpose, which is to introduce Alpha Flight and demonstrate their powers. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you with the ending. They put Wolverine in that armored car to take him away, and someone makes a comment of even your idiot self can't get out of this. Well, clearly he does. I would have liked some explanation of, did he just claw through the bottom and they didn't think to armor the bottom or, what? But yeah, he gets out. It's fine. It's funny that he's there in the plane, so I appreciated that. But yeah, it's kind of easy. I did like how Claremont made the point that the X-Men don't really fight as well as a team as Alpha Flight does, and hence why Alpha Flight manages to handle themselves on their own against the X-Men. But I guess it also still makes the point of how powerful the X-Men are, that they are still kind of in the fight and they're still winning, even though it just ends with Wolverine giving up, and why didn't he think of that earlier? Also, getting our first look at Alpha Flight as a team, which I've got up there on the screen now, it kind of made me appreciate Cockrum's character designs. I would assume that Alpha Flight was designed by Byrne, since Alpha Flight is his creation. And this is not meant to be a criticism to say that Alpha Flight's design is bad by any means. They're still interesting, but they don't have the same flair that Cockrum does. We have a lot of singular bodysuits with spiky designs, which is fine. It makes sense for Vindicator because you've got the maple leaf on him. And it does also make sense with North Star and Aurora, because when they stand together like the Wonder Twins, were they meant to be Marvel's equivalent to the Wonder Twins? I don't know.
I mean, they definitely have a similar setup as them. There's also there's another twins that Marvel has. Their villains, the Von Struckers or something like that, where they have similar powers, where like they have to grab each other's hands or something like that to do something. So yeah, I think this is all playing off of those Wonder Twins.
Okay. So anyway, the design of their costumes still makes sense given their names and their powers. Shaman also has little spikes going around his collar. Ultimately, it makes the designs all look a little samey, I thought. Really, the only standouts are Sasquatch and Snowbird. But everyone else, the singular bodysuit, the spiky design, it just kind of looks similar. So, again, it's not a bad design. I like the design. The sleekness and kind of uniformity of it is also interesting in its own way, but it just kind of made me appreciate the interesting stuff that Cockrum did. And yeah, Stoja, you brought up that John Byrne makes another appearance. Let me see if I can pull that up on the screen, if I can find that. Let's see, is it this page?
I mean, I agree with your critique of the costumes, by the way, and the design elements. I mean, I think there can be, story written excuses of like, well, this is like a government team, so they're all supposed to kind of have, similar uniforms and things like that. Whereas the X-Men were kind of this multicultural gaggle of people that are all pulled together. But even the Avengers don't look this samey until the late '80s or '90s when they all have the leather jackets or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's a fair criticism.
And saying that, I liked the jacket look of the Avengers. They still had their own individual costumes, but had that uniformity of the jacket over them. I thought that was a great solution. And of course, the X-Men are going to end up very samey in the near future. They all end up with the same kind of blue and yellow jumpsuit. Of course, the original X-Men had that similar costume too. So we're in an era of differentness right now, I guess. John Byrne, I've got John Byrne up there. This time he is with a friend named Doris, who had recently traveled to New York. I tried to find who Doris was, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Couldn't find anything on her. I was wondering if maybe this was a girlfriend or a wife or something, but nothing. Not his wife, I can say that. But I couldn't find anything about her. But again, like in the previous issue, it's interesting that they're just putting the creators in here.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Stojr, any final thoughts on this issue?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to moving on to another story and kind of seeing what happens next. It'd be interesting. I'd have to look up like when Alpha Flight's next appearance is, if this kind of how quickly this spurned their own book. But I don't have that Omni, nor I don't think there are no epics.
No epics, yeah. No.
For those. I think there's two Omnis. I'm trying to remember if the second Omni is out yet or not, or if it was just announced. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what happens next. And I mean, we're gonna start to get hints and little little things that are going to lead to things like the Hellfire Club in future books. And we still haven't. We're halfway through the book, and we still haven't seen Proteus yet, which is the name of the book. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Yep. All right. Well, again, if you guys have enjoyed our thoughts, follow us on YouTube. Find our audio podcast if you prefer that. We are going to read, rate, and review a full epic collection every month, and we're going to have these one-shots every day as long as the reading club continues. All right. Having said that, thank you very much, guys, and we will see you again tomorrow.